What would you think if I told you today that there are 5 places in the world where you can live almost for free, with housing, food, even visa and taxes all costing zero? Meanwhile, right in the United States, thousands of federal employees have just been laid off within weeks after the government shutdown in early October 2025. Rent prices have reached the highest level in 40 years, and retirees are having to go back to work just to pay for their medication. On one side is America, where you work your whole life just to pay bills. On the other side are lands where, with only $1,000 a month, you not only live, but are welcomed, given housing and meals, and even supported by the government to stay. It sounds unreal, but they all exist. And they're open right now. So if you're feeling that America has become too expensive to live in, stay until the end of this video, because I'm about to show you 5 destinations where freedom isn't a dream, it's an all-inclusive value. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Spain, the land that pays for your dream. Imagine a morning in the Spanish countryside. Mediterranean sunlight pours over red-tiled roofs, church bells echo through the valley, and the smell of fresh bread drifts from a small bakery down the street. You open the door, and instead of paying rent, people pay you to live here. That's right. Spain not only welcomes you, but pays you to call this place home. As many rural villages are being abandoned because the younger generation has moved away, the government and local communities have created the España Vaciada, Empty Spain program. They are willing to give away houses, a subsidy of around 200,000% even $100, depending on the region or community project, and even provide free meals for foreigners who are willing to move in and help rebuild the community. In the town of Ponga, a couple was given $3,300 by the authorities just to move in and live long-term. In Almadrones, right outside Madrid, American retirees are offered free housing, meals, and a monthly allowance, as long as they contribute a small part to community life. If in America a summer electricity bill is enough to make you sigh, here, with the same amount of money, you can rent a house with a yard, an olive garden, and neighbors who know your name. If in America a bottle of wine costs $25 on average, in Spain, it's $2, and good enough to make even Napa Valley tip its hat. If in America healthcare is a burden, in Spain, residents enjoy a nearly free public healthcare system, one of the best in Europe. And if you want to settle long-term, everything has a clear path. The non-lucrative visa for retirees only requires a monthly income of about $2,600, easily achievable for many Americans. After 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency and enjoy full benefits like local citizens. And if you work online, Spain now has the digital nomad visa, allowing you to stay up to 5 years, exempting foreign income taxes for the first 6 years, thanks to the Beckham Law. That means all your pension, investments, or income from the U.S. remain 100% yours. Spain offers you not only a low cost of living, but an exceptional quality of life. A basket of fresh vegetables at the market costs just $2. A full dinner with wine is $6. And the sunny afternoons are filled with people still calling each other by name and inviting you to sit down for a glass of sangria. You can walk from your house to the plaza, where the elderly play dominoes, children run around the fountain, and flamenco music echoes under the golden sunset. Here, life doesn't rush. It flows, slowly and warmly. Spain is ranked among the 15 safest countries in 2025, based on factors like crime rate, political stability, and emergency services. You can stroll through the village at midnight without looking over your shoulder. Major cities like Valencia, Seville, and Granada are friendly, with modern healthcare and infrastructure that surpass many rural areas in the U.S. The Spanish have a saying, "Vivir bien no cuesta tanto." Living well doesn't cost that much. And they're right. Because here, with just a few $1,000s in U.S. retirement income, you don't just exist, you truly live. Even if you only want to try for a year, many local governments still offer rental assistance, reduced property taxes, shopping vouchers, and high-speed internet priority for foreigners. You don't arrive as a guest. You arrive as someone they've been waiting for. Healthcare. Excellent. Spain not only gives you a slower pace of life, it gives you peace of mind when you're sick. Its public healthcare system ranks among the best in the world, rated by the WHO even higher than that of the US. Long-term residents receive nearly free medical care, from basic prescriptions to complex surgeries. In cities like Valencia, Seville, or Madrid, public hospitals are spotless, doctors speak fluent English, and the service is so efficient that many Americans exclaim, "Here, I'm treated like a person, not like an expense." Cost of living? About 60% lower than in the US. Fresh food, cheap wine, and a mild climate all year round. The people are friendly, the expat community is large, and the procedures are clear. And most importantly, here, you don't have to race just to live. If there's one drawback, it's probably just this: the pace. Spain doesn't live fast. If you bring the American rush with you, you'll need to learn to relax. Because here, everything arrives exactly when it's meant to. But in return, you'll receive something that America has taken away: peace. Spain, the land that pays you to start over, where rent costs less than an American electricity bill, where lunch stretches into the afternoon, and where you realize that freedom doesn't have to be expensive. Comment Spain if you want me to send you the list of villages currently offering support programs. And if you believe that happiness can be bought with a one-way ticket, subscribe to the channel today. Because the next video might just be where you begin your new chapter. A chapter called True Freedom. 4. Portugal, where an American found his peaceful breath again. In October 2025, America was shaken. More than 4,000 federal civil servants were laid off within just a few weeks after the government shutdown, the highest number since World War II. The news flooded every morning broadcast, while George, 67, sat silently in front of the screen in his rented house in Florida, still holding a cup of cold coffee. He once thought he had everything: a pension, insurance, a home. But when it all collapsed, he realized, in America, you can lose your sense of safety after a single news report. 2 months later, George stood on a cliff overlooking the Algarve coast. Below, sunlight shattered into thousands of golden shards across the water. In America, I paid to exist. Here I live without counting every dollar, he said, smiling for the first time in years. George came to Portugal through the Workaway program, working just a few hours a day helping a small farm plant olives and tend the garden in exchange for free housing, 3 meals a day, and a sense of belonging. "I'm not a tourist anymore. I'm part of this place," he said. From a small farm in Tavira, he witnessed the simple but complete European lifestyle. Lunch with grilled sardines, $2 wine, toasted bread with olive oil. He answered emails, read books, and sometimes joined the farmer to fly kites over the wheat fields. His total monthly expenses were less than $400, cheaper than his electricity and home insurance bills back in the US. After 3 months, he applied for the D7 visa, a residency program for those with passive income. By proving about 1,000 USD per month from his pension, Portugal granted him a 2-year residency, extendable for another 3 years, followed by eligibility for permanent residency or citizenship after 5 years. During this period, George was exempt from paying taxes on his U.S. income thanks to the NHR, non-habitual residency policy, which allows foreigners to enjoy 10 years of tax-free status on foreign income. I don't have to hide my money in the bank anymore. Here, the government wants me to live, not to be afraid, he said, referring to the low tax rates, affordable healthcare costs, and a medical system that meets European standards. In fact, Portugal has one of the best healthcare systems in the world, ranked higher than the United States by WHO. A private consultation costs only about 30–50 USD, private insurance around 60–90 USD per month, and if you hold a residence card, you pay almost nothing in public hospitals. In America, a routine heart checkup can cost 800 USD. In the Algarve, George paid only 20. He also discovered something remarkable. In Portugal, the elderly are respected as part of the nation's collective memory. When I go to the market, the vegetable seller calls me amigo. When I cough, the old lady next door brings me a jar of honey. In America, I lived among hundreds of people and still felt lonely. Here, I only need a few, and I'm truly loved, he said. Life in Portugal isn't just cheaper, it's more beautiful. The light in Lisbon seems to coat the houses in golden honey. The afternoons are filled with the sound of fado guitars from small taverns, and people still keep the habit of simply sitting quietly to watch the sunset. Every Friday, George rides his bike to the beach, sits by the waves and says, "I once thought freedom had to be bought. Now I know it only takes time. If there's a drawback, it's probably the paperwork. Nothing here moves fast. Residency applications can take a few weeks, sometimes even months. But to George, that's no longer a delay. It's a lesson in patience, in letting life find its own rhythm." Today, thousands of Americans are doing the same, leaving expensive cities behind, seeking lands where $1,000 a month still buys a roof, fresh food, and peace of mind. And when you ask George if he plans to return to the U.S., he simply smiles. "I already left that crisis, not by plane, but by choice." If you're watching this video and feel tired of endless bills and gloomy morning news, maybe it's time to look toward the ocean, where the light is still as gentle as the way Portugal welcomed George. Comment Portugal if you want me to send you the list of regions currently offering long-term residency programs for Americans. Hit like if you believe freedom doesn't have to be expensive. And don't go away, because the next country might just surprise you even more. 3. Colombia, where spring never ends. When autumn storms swept through Florida, floods swallowed hundreds of homes, and more than 3 million households lost power, Americans realized they had lost more than just property. They had lost their sense of safety. As the United States struggled with climate crises, rising rent, and the loneliness of cold cities, a man named Jim, 68, from Ohio, was dancing salsa in the Medellin Valley, smiling brightly as if he had just found the age of 30 he'd lost long ago. Jim came to Colombia planning to stay only a month. He used to be an engineer, retired with modest savings, but after the pandemic and inflation, everything in America became too expensive. At home, I paid $20,500 a month to live alone. Here, I live an entire month for under $300 and never feel lonely. He laughed, shrugged, and spun to the rhythm of salsa. In Colombia, everyone dances, even those who once thought they couldn't. Colombia is called the land of eternal spring. where the temperature stays between 20 and 25 degrees in all year. Trees stay lush, and flowers bloom even in winter. But the most remarkable thing here isn't the climate. It's the way people live. Slower, warmer, and more real. You can live in Medellin, Salento, or Cartagena and spend only about $700–900 a month for everything. Housing, food, internet, and that rich, aromatic coffee the whole world loves. A full lunch costs just $2. Rice, grilled meat, fried plantains, hot soup, and a glass of fresh juice. Coffee, $1. Happiness, free. But perhaps what makes so many foreigners fall in love with Colombia lies in its live-for-free programs, growing models of work exchange for accommodation that are flourishing across the country. From coffee farms in the Andes to hostels along the Caribbean coast, you only need to work 4 to 5 hours a day, planting trees, teaching English, or helping with tourists. In return, you get a private room or dorm bed, 3 meals a day, and sometimes even an extra $100 per month for pocket money. You work, you live, you integrate. Not as a tourist, but as a real local. Jim shared, "I planted bananas, watered the garden, and the farm owner hugged me saying, 'Mi casa es tu casa,' my home is your home." He laughed, then added, "In the US, no one hugs you just because you watered their plants." If you're worried about visas, don't be. Americans can stay 90 days visa-free, extend another 90 days, and if you join a community or farm project, you can even apply for a volunteer visa, V-type, that lasts up to 2 years. The cost? About $230, less than a week's rent in Los Angeles. And for retirees, Colombia is even more generous. Just prove a minimum pension income of $850 per month, and you can apply for a retirement visa, long-term residency, no tax on foreign income, full access to banking, real estate ownership, and the same healthcare benefits as locals. Speaking of healthcare, this is what surprises most Americans. Colombia's EPS, Entidades Promotoras de Salud, system allows foreign residents to enroll in public health insurance for just $30–50 per month. Private clinics are modern, many doctors trained in the US or Spain, and the costs are a fraction, about 1/10, of what you'd pay in America. A dental filling in Bogota? $20. An X-ray? $15. And your smile? Included in the bill. Of course, nowhere is perfect. Colombia still has areas that are less safe, streets you shouldn't walk at night, and friendly warnings locals will tell you with a smile. Be careful, amigo. But if you choose the right places, like Medellin, Salento, or Santa Marta, you'll find yourself feeling safer than in many American cities today. And you'll understand why more and more people from the US, Canada, and Germany come here. Not to travel, but to start over. Jim once said, "I didn't leave America because I hated it. I left because I could no longer afford to love it." That sentence is like a small knife, sharp but gentle. Now, every morning, he wakes up in his small wooden bed overlooking the Medellin Valley, hearing roosters crow, salsa music drifting from afar, and the scent of coffee floating through the window. He brews a cup, takes a deep breath, and smiles. Here, people don't live to pay bills. They live to thank life. And perhaps that's what makes Colombia special. It doesn't promise paradise. It gives you a life with rhythm, breath, and humanity. A place where $700 buys you a month of peace. And sometimes, a whole new chapter of your life. Comment Colombia if you want me to send you a list of the safest and most beautiful regions for Americans to retire or volunteer long-term. Hit like if you believe that sometimes, to live truly, all we need is to change our time zone, not our dreams. And don't go away, because the next chapter will take you to the place known as the red carpet for the happiest retirees in the world, where even your electricity bill gets cut in half. 2. Philippines. The paradise of days without bills, the Philippines is the soft cushion for souls who want to live slowly. A place where you don't have to be rich to feel at peace. Here, sunlight filters through curved coconut palms, waves lap gently on white sand, and mornings begin with the sound of roosters instead of alarm clocks. The Philippines offers the SRRV, Special Resident Retirees Visa, arguably the easiest retirement visa in Asia. You only need to show an income of $801,000 per month and deposit about $10,000 to $20,000 in a local bank. With that, you can live here as long as you wish, exempt from foreign income tax, free to enter and leave anytime, and even bring your family along. No investment required, no property purchase, no restrictions. Just the desire to truly live. On islands like Cebu, Dumaguete, or Bohol, life is so inexpensive it'll make you smile. An apartment near the beach costs only $350 to $450 a month, a hearty seafood meal less than $2, and a cup of strong iced coffee under $1. Your total monthly living expenses rarely exceed $700, and for those who join community volunteer programs, life can be nearly free. With free housing and meals in exchange for a few hours of light work or teaching English to kids. English is spoken almost everywhere, so you'll never feel lost. People smile often, greet you with a sincere, "Good morning, sir." Not out of politeness, but because they're genuinely happy to meet someone new. They share their fish, their coconuts, and their stories. And if you ask, "Is it safe here?" just know that the expat community in Dumaguete still calls the city of gentle people. When it comes to healthcare, the Philippines has become one of Asia's top medical tourism hubs. Luke's Hospital in Manila and Chonghua in Cebu meet international standards, and many doctors were trained in the U.S. Private consultations, cost only $30–50, while comprehensive private insurance ranges from $60–90 per month. Here, you're treated like family, not like a bill waiting to be signed. Of course, no place is perfect. The Philippines has rainy seasons, occasional typhoons, and on smaller islands, power may go out for a few hours. But if in exchange you get a pink sunrise over Cebu Bay, children laughing in fishing villages, and the feeling that each day is a gift, then perhaps those aren't flaws, but the authentic parts of life itself. For Americans tired of paying just to exist, the Philippines isn't just cheap, it's freeing. Comment Philippines if you'd like me to send you a list of the safest, most affordable, and most livable islands. Hit like if you believe that true happiness doesn't need a first-class ticket, only a one-way trip and a heart brave enough to start again. 1. Panama, where even the bills know how to smile. When Americans have to cut meals and delay retirement just to pay rent, Panama opens its doors and welcomes them with the pensionado card, a small pass that turns old age into a privilege. With just $1,000 in monthly pension income, you're granted the chance to live like an honored guest. 50% off movie and concert tickets, 50% off hotels during the week, 20% off doctor visits, 10% off prescription drugs, and 25% off electricity and water bills. In America, you count every bill. In Panama, the bills count backward, for you. Panama uses the US dollar, so there's no need to worry about exchange rates or currency depreciation. Its tax system follows the territorial principle. All income from the US, pensions, dividends, or investments, is tax-exempt. You keep everything you earn, and even spend less while living better. In towns like Boquete, Coronado, or David, You can rent a charming seaside home for $500–700 a month, enjoy fresh fish, tropical fruit, and Panama's world-class coffee for just a few dollars. Services are affordable, people are kind, and anyone who speaks English is happy to help. For retirees, that's not just convenience, it's the feeling of being truly welcomed. As for healthcare, Panama doesn't promise paradise, but it delivers what matters: private hospitals with international standards, many doctors trained in the U.S., private consultations around $40–60, and full coverage insurance for about $100 a month. Everything feels easy, no long waits, no anxiety-inducing bills. And when the afternoon settles over the Pacific coast, you'll understand why they say this is the place where even the bills know how to smile. Amid sunshine and ocean waves, you no longer have to choose between living and paying to live. Of course, there are sudden tropical rains and occasional power cuts in rural areas. But in return, you get quiet mornings, steaming coffee, and neighbors who greet you by name. Comment Panama. If you'd like me to send you the full details of the pensionado visa and the list of the most affordable cities. And if you believe that true freedom doesn't come from your bank balance, but from no longer being afraid of the bills, hit like right now. In America today, people work their entire lives just to hold on to what they might lose tomorrow. But somewhere out there are still places where you can start again, where housing isn't a burden, healthcare isn't a privilege, and every morning you wake up without checking how much money is left in your account. These 5 countries aren't paradise, but they have something the U.S. is losing: the peace that lets you truly live, not just survive. This opportunity won't last forever. Many programs are set to close before 2026. If you're still here, it means you still have time. Comment the country you'd like me to talk about next. And if you believe that freedom isn't found on a paycheck, but in a place where you can live fully each day, hit like and subscribe now, because the next video might just be the map leading you to the life you've always dreamed of.